Hello and welcome to the Saratoga Springs Planning Commission meeting for January 26, 2023. I'll lead us in the pledge this evening. Will the audience please rise and repeat the Pledge of Allegiance after me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The audience may be seated. Thank you. Okay, so for roll call this evening, we have Commissioner Weldon, Commissioner Cunningham, Commissioner Kilgore, and Commissioner McConkey in attendance this evening. We do have a quorum present. So we'll move on to the next item, which is public input. Time has been set aside for any person to express ideas, concerns, comments, questions, or issues. They're not listed as a public hearing on the agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. There's only one item on the agenda this evening, and it's a business item, so if you're here to make any comments about that item, this would be the time to do that. I'm going to go ahead and close the public comment. And we'll move on to item number 4, business item, Saratoga Springs Singer, Company Class 3 Home Occupation, located at 1277 Rocky Ridge Lane. Leslie Strict is applicant, and this is presented to us
Kendall.
by Kendall.
Kendall Black. It's not working.
Oh, sorry. The mouse has to be on. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So this is a singing, dancing, and performing class. The teacher, she has, she's wanting to do these classes in her basement. She does have a building permit, put the building permit number there that she got in 2013. She only wants to do 3 classes of 10 students or less, just Monday evening or afternoons only. They're 50 minutes long, so there's a 10-minute between classes for traffic dispersal. And then there are no non-family employees. This is just south of the temple. Can you see where that is? And then their traffic pattern. And that was the floor plan. And it's only, you're allowed up to 40% of the home to be used for your home occupation, and she's only 12%. We have the motions. Do I go through all of these?
No.
Okay. So that's really it. Do you have any questions?
Okay, I'll open this up for the commission for questions and comments. Commissioner Kilgore.
Since this is administrative, I always ask, just to get it on the record, do you, as far as you know, is the applicant willing to comply with all the conditions in the staff report?
Yes.
Okay. And it's too bad she's not here, because I just wanted to say thank you for doing these kinds of things, because my daughter started at age 4 dancing, and it was at a home occupation. It was in Japan, but it was still a home occupation. And now she's a senior at a performing arts college, majoring in choreography. And so these things do impact people's lives, or kids' lives, and gives them a lot of a path to follow their the things that they like to pursue. So I'm just glad that we're able to welcome people like that in our city as well.
Yep.
I wanted to ask, this really isn't a question about the application itself, but we've been doing a lot of master plan work and looking at how to improve areas for recreation in the city, as well as residences, and provide a breadth of options for residential properties. And then on the economic side, I know we have an economic development director, and I was wondering, say because we had 2 home occupation applications initially planned for tonight, when a home occupation reaches the size, say, that they want to move to the next step, next phase, and possibly rent a studio or, something a little bit bigger. I wonder, so do we have also plans for that kind of evolution of businesses, starting from home to, the first rental, and maybe a flex space or something, and then eventually something bigger, or right now, as far as Saratoga Springs is concerned, do they usually have to go elsewhere to another city in order to find that kind of location that they could go to? Are you familiar, or do we have that kind of a planning cycle with respect to these kinds of businesses?
We don't have it in our, we don't have it formally or anything like that. We have had several businesses do that. So there is another dance company, I don't remember the name of it, but they started off in their home over by Neptune Park, and then they built a building over just east of Walmart. I don't remember their name, but we do see that happen in our city. But we don't have a specific plan or program. They have to seek out those spaces themselves.
Okay. Yeah, because I would think building a place would be the third phase. The second phase would be just renting a bigger space, a commercial space, and then the third phase would be, okay, now I'm going to own my own studio and build it. So I just feel like sometimes maybe we're missing that second phase, and maybe that's something that we consider as, for planning, is we do plan for, again, recreational space, for amenities. We do for residential. We have different options for smaller homes and moderate and bigger, and maybe for that business evolution where we are missing that second phase. I mean, of course, you don't have a city that just says, okay, we're going to build flex space, but I mean that's the kind of thing that would kind of help, because my wife, she started with a small business at home, and then she eventually had a retail space, but she couldn't find anything. Now this was 8 years ago, but she couldn't find anything in Saratoga Springs, so she had to go to Orem to find that kind of a space. So it'd be nice if we had that, fill that gap in here, so that we have the whole life cycle of a personally owned business, so that they could stay in Saratoga Springs. And I thought that's something that maybe we consider as well, in future planning.
We are getting a lot of inquiries about flex space, so I do think we'll see more in the future.
Great. Okay. Thank you for that. And thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Kilgore. Commissioner McConkey.
Just in response to Ken's great thoughts there, it's challenging because the type of occupancy that some of those spaces require changes some of the requirements of the building and the parking, and that's all going to be driven by the owner of the building and how flexible they want to be. So I don't know if there's ways that the city can encourage that kind of thing, unless we get enough demand, I guess, and the developers are going to, if it's lucrative, will, accommodate those demands. I was thinking about some of these shops up and down Redwood Road here, and this way, and those are all business occupancies anyway. There's not enough parking in there to accommodate that kind of, unless, maximum. I don't know about the parking requirements, but once you hit 50 occupant load, then it starts changing your type of building and some of the other requirements. So, but hopefully, as we continue to grow, that will solve itself, I hope. I had some questions for the applicant too. Was hoping that they would be here. The questions I had were, where will the clients be singing and performing, if they're going to be indoors and outdoors or outdoors? Title 19.8.38 explains the city's performance standard for outdoor activity. It states outdoor activity may occur for home occupation so long as the activity takes place in a fenced area and does not create an unreasonable disturbance to neighboring properties. So my question to them would have been, if held outside, how will performances and practices comply with this code section?
She said, I'd asked her that, and she said that all her practices and everything will be in the basement. They're not doing any performances there. If they do performances, they'll be off-site.
That'd be great. I've seen and heard home occupations who practice outside, and I'm not opposed to music, but
Yeah.
it can get pretty loud, and I could see that it could be a nuisance to some of the neighbors. So if she mentioned that was all going to be indoors, then that answers my question. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner McConkey. Commissioner Wilden.
Thank you very much. Has there been any concern from the neighborhood or any complaints to the city about the flow of traffic there, or any traffic study that was done that would indicate a problem?
No, I haven't heard of anything. I've had no comments.
All right, thank you, that's all.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion at this time.
Not ready. Okay. I'd like to make a motion. The Planning Commission hereby approves the Saratoga Springs Singers Company Class 3 home occupation at 1277 Rocky Ridge Lane with the findings and conditions in the staff report.
We have a motion from Commissioner Kilgore. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second from Commissioner Weldon. Do we have a question on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. That passes unanimously. Item number 5 has been withdrawn, so we'll move on to item number 6. Approval of minutes for January 12th, 2023. Anyone have any corrections that need to be done on them? If not, I will go ahead and entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the Planning Commission meeting on Thursday, January 12th, 2020.
We have a motion from Commissioner Malkonki. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second from Commissioner Kilgore. Do we have a question on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The motion passes and the minutes are approved. Commission comments. Any comments from commissioners this evening? I guess I do have one question I'll ask. On item number 5, when they withdraw, do they lose their application fees and they have to reapply? And okay.
They do. At this point, we've invested, a fair amount of time in review and written staff reports and things like that. And then based on one of the questions we got on whether or not they had their building permit, we checked on that and they did not. So because they didn't have a record of that, they could either come and get denied or they chose to withdraw. And they will have to resubmit and pay a new application fee.
Okay. Director's report.
So there was a council meeting on January 17th, but there weren't any planning items, so nothing there. Our next planning commission meeting is February 9th. And so right now we're looking at a possible code amendment and then maybe some other items that are tentative. And then the next council meeting is February 7th, and they'll be going over the gateway proposal then.
Okay.
Do we still have a special meeting?
Oh, yes, sorry, we do have a special meeting on February 21st. And so that's a council meeting that night, and then following the meeting, we want to have a joint training.
Okay. So would we, well, I guess in the invite will tell us what time we're supposed to be here, right?
I think the training's just going to be immediately after the council meeting, so.
You have to stay for the whole council meeting.
Yeah. Okay,
Once the agenda's published, we might have a better guess for you.
all right.
So,
Do we have a need to go into a closed session tonight?
no, we do
Nope.
not.
Then I will adjourn this meeting until February 9th.
How's that record?
That's the record.
15 minutes.
Yeah.